Tony, first video, we're going to be going into your background, obviously talking about things you've done in your career. Judging by the beard, I don't know if you've got that many years of experience, probably 5 or 10, but no, if you want to kick it off, let's start with school, Tony. Kind of what did you go to school for, first couple jobs, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, let's start from obviously the one that counts, which is, graduate school. So I graduated in medicine from the University of Rome in Italy in 1979, and I then entered into a PhD program. And it was a 5-year program in experimental hematology. So I was an intern in the experimental hematology department for about a year. And then I applied for a postdoctoral, fellowship at the Stanford University in 1982. And so I came to the States. Also, I decided to come to the States because my family, actually on my mother's side, my mother was born here in the States. My uncles, they were all born, in the East Coast. So I had many ties with this country. So I decided that was a good opportunity. So I moved to California. Like I said, I started my postdoctoral fellowship at the Stanford University in the Department of Cancer Biology, which was actually headed by several Thai nominees for Nobel Prize. Someone by the name of doctor by the name of Harry Kaplan. He was actually the one that first invented the radiology, the radiotherapy to cure, Hodgkin and non-Hodgkin disease. So he was, someone bigger than life, member of the National Academy of Science and everything. So he accepted me in that program. Yeah, I was accepted to Stanford. And I was part of this joint program between the University of Rome and Stanford. I did my dissertation. I did my research work at Stanford, but I officially graduated from, the University of Rome. So it was kind of like a combined program. So after that, basically, I started, my career, in the university. I never went back to Rome many, many years ago. So I was a postdoctoral fellow. After Stanford, I was accepted as in this postdoctoral fellowship at the University of Texas MD Anderson Cancer Center in Houston, Texas. And there, I spent 7 years, first as a postdoctoral fellow, then as an assistant research professor. In 1992, I left MD Anderson and I went to the University of Georgia, actually called Medical College of Georgia, where I was assistant professor in the Department of Pharmacology. But it was a section of the department that was dealing primarily with Alzheimer's disease. And I was heading the laboratory of gene therapy for Alzheimer's disease. And then I spent, several years as well. So I kind of got to the point where I said, okay, what am I going to do with my life? Do I want to continue in the university or I want to do something else? So basically, my mentor in Texas, he moved to Colorado, and he was the director of the AMC Cancer Center in Lakewood, Colorado. So he invited me, to join the institution, and it was kind of interesting situation because at the time there was a big push trying to integrate companies, mostly biotech companies, with university. Was kind of the initial projects of integration, because until then the university was pretty much a university, private companies. So there was an incubator at the AMC Cancer Center. So I started my first biotech company there. At the same time, because AMC was also an academic institution, I got a position as an adjunct associate professor there, and it was mostly just a research position. Yeah, I did not mention my previous experience in cancer research. Actually, I was part of a group, one of the first group at MD Anderson that came up with this, genetic markers, and that was a major breakthrough because genetic markers in cancer, they really took the cancer therapy all in a different directions. In fact, now, physicians, they won't even start, a cancer treatment unless they measure these markers. Back then, and that was back in the 80s, was very innovative, research. So I was lucky to be in that group. And as a matter of fact, I mean, people working in that area were awarded, Nobel Prizes because it was such a, huge, field. Always it wasn't me, but I mean, I was, postdoctoral students, but I think that gave us a tremendous impetus about, research and put, and
what do you think the impact of these markers were on the industry? How much does it help? Just curious, before, give me more info here.
Well, I'll give you an example. I mean, before these markers became routine, oncologists, they had no clue how a chemotherapy can actually work. Let me give you an example. There was a specific marker that, for breast cancer, and that particular marker, before the marker was actually discovered, there was kind of like a guessing game, with chemotherapy. Well, after that marker came into clinics, it was so successful that many clinical trials, they got stopped because they already, before, they could actually be completed, because either we knew that the patient unfortunately was not going to make it, or we could predict that the therapy was so successful that there was no reason to continue. So that's kind of like that together with this other technology that now has become, kind of a household name called polymerase chain reaction, also close to PCR, short for PCR. PCR, I was involved with PCR from the start. PCR was invented by Cedars Corporation back in 1981, 82, and I was right there myself. So, I mean, I guess, if age is a factor, in this case was an important factor, because I've seen, the dawn of the molecular medicine, as we know. So, and that changed completely. I mean, things that they were not possible until, this science was developed, that now become routine. In a way, I mean, to go back to kind of, forward back to the present times, the fact that we have PCR, the PCR was developed so many years ago, and now it's become, the gold standard. It's actually saving us in a way to this pandemic. Just imagine what we would be without having a PCR technology. It would have been like be in the Middle Ages. We will never be able to diagnose people. I mean, I'm not saying that we still are in full, scale, actually far from it, but this has actually helped dramatically. So I see myself that be in the right time in the right place, because, all this technology has become, a tool, a very important tool. And obviously the experience that accumulated over the years put me in kind of in a much better position compared to other people that did not have that kind of experience. So I see that as kind of like a huge, plus. I mean, regardless if you're an academic or science or private companies, I think the bottom line is that, you have to be at the right place at the right time.